Vice President of Education and Chairman of the Science and Medical Education Committee, Dr. Brannick Riggs.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, I got to admit something to you. I get to spend a lot of time with Dr. Osgathorpe. I know he's kind of nerdy, but a Star Wars nerd. Now, I kind of see him more of an Obi-Wan character than a Princess Leia character, but he just quoted Princess Leia, right? Like, wow, okay. So by now, after everything shared yesterday, this morning, and even in the showcase, I think we now have a shared understanding of the importance of sleep and microbiome health, right? So I'm sure we all left the gala last night about 10 o'clock, made sure we got good rest, slept well, and exercised this morning. So I'd like to make sure that all of us leave here today knowing exactly what to do next. Feeling confident and sharing these solutions with others, and then helping them with the same advice that I'm about to give you. So let's start with sleep. If getting the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night really does need to be a priority for us, then what's the formula for success? How do we do that? But first, let's acknowledge to ourselves that we live in a world that celebrates being busy. And often sleep is the first thing we sacrifice to keep up with our demanding schedules. Now, I remember during my years in residency with very long days and very short nights, we used to say, well, we can sleep when we're dead. It turns out that that endpoint comes a lot sooner if you don't sleep, okay? So just like choosing to fuel up with better food and move your body each day, let's acknowledge that we can choose and prioritize differently than maybe we have been. And once we acknowledge that, it can actually become relatively simple for most of us to improve our sleep habits. So here's how. First, we should probably avoid caffeine in all temperatures. I know, I knew I was gonna get the booze. I get it, okay? But let me just tell you this. If you can't avoid it altogether, then avoid it 6 to 8 hours before bedtime. That will be helpful for you. Next, it's great to get regular exercise because it does support good sleep. But I do recommend avoiding strenuous exercise the hour or two before bed. And isn't it interesting, the clinical research just shared by Dr. Stevens was really interesting, wasn't it? Did you catch that? We know to get better sleep, we need to exercise. But the data also showed that as we get better sleep, we naturally have a desire to exercise more. So if you're having trouble with that motivation to exercise, maybe getting sleep is the thing you work on. So let's talk about light. Your circadian rhythms and the hormones that regulate your sleep cycle are influenced by exposure to natural light. It's helpful to expose yourself to sunshine and natural light in the morning hours and avoid screens or artificial bright light in the hour or two before bed. Yesterday, Becca shared how best to use the Serenity Sleep System to create a bedtime routine that signals to your body and brain what is about to happen. But I have some specific recommendations for you. If you're having occasional trouble falling asleep, if that's the issue, then taking the Serenity Soft Gels 30 minutes before bed is where you want to focus your energy. Remember though that we're reminding the brain that it's time to fall asleep. So being consistent about that time that you take the soft gels will help our circadian rhythms sink into a daily routine. If you're having trouble staying asleep, I get to sleep fine, but I wake up, then diffusing Serenity throughout the night near the bedside is what you should emphasize. And the data that you just saw from Dr. Stevens supports these recommendations. Now finally, I recommend that you avoid eating right before sleep. When you sleep, your GI tract actually slows down motility, and therefore gastric emptying is slower when you're sleeping. So imagine putting food into that stomach acid and have it sit there for hours. Yep, that will disrupt your sleeping quite a bit. So now, speaking of GI tract, let's move on to our Probiome products. Who's excited about this update? Yeah. As I have always said, we will change products as science teaches us more, okay? We want to be on the cutting edge of information, and as we learn more, we do better. So as you heard from Dr. Hill, we are a science-based company. Did anybody else feel like they were like in essential oil church when Dr. Hill was on stage? Oh my gosh. That was amazing. I was sitting up there with the medical education committee, those doctors, and we were just like in awe of what was being said. Yes. I love that man. He has been a mentor and has been my idol for a number of years. So I follow the science really closely. And so for me, taking a quality probiotic daily is non-negotiable. I also know that around 25 to 50% of my bodily waste is made up of transient microbes. And because I'm eliminating a large number of beneficial microbes every day, it makes sense that I need to replenish those microbes every day. As Dr. Osgathorpe shared yesterday, the choices we make every day are either hurting or supporting our microbiome. For instance, if I'm eating at home using diverse herbs, vegetables, and fruits out of my garden, okay, let's be honest, out of my wife's garden, that's our garden right there, then I'm making good choices that support my microbiome. However, on the inevitable days when I'm traveling and my choices are much more limited, I may consume things that are less supportive of my microbiome. I also enjoy running or walking every day, and research tells us that a moderate amount of exercise supports a healthy microbiome. But again, there may be days or even weeks here and there where life just seems to get in the way. And that choice can be more difficult. Stress also happens to show up during those days or weeks, and we know that stress can send signals to the microbiome to change it rather drastically. So I try to get 8 hours of sleep every night, but travel, kids, and that stress sometimes impacts those things, and that lack of sleep can change the diversity of the microbes that I'm host to. And the list of things that impacts the system actually goes on and on and on. And I know that sounds like, well, there's no hope, right? So in a perfect world, I would eat only fresh fruits and vegetables out of the garden. I would exercise daily, get adequate sleep, and keep all stress in my life well under control. I would also be able to live in the woods, practice Shinrin-yoku, and avoid all toxins that come from so many things around me. However, I don't live in that world quite yet. So until I do, I take our Probiome products every day. So while our Cleanse and Restore protocol suggests that you take probiotics 10 days a month, a Cleanse and Restore protocol is really not meant to be done every single month back to back. A typical cadence to the Cleanse and Restore protocol might be to do it once every 3 to 6 months. And then in between, you want to be taking your probiotics every day. So taking our doTERRA Probiome products is simple. Let's start with the sticks, because honestly, that flavor, right? Like, I love it. You can pour PBSS Plus powder straight into your mouth, which is what I do. Okay, not the shooter of the electrolytes, but the shooter of the probiotics. That's okay. Or you can mix it with cold water and drink immediately. It can also be mixed with cold foods like smoothies, applesauce, or yogurt. I recommend taking these supplements daily either when you first wake up and you're active in your day or just prior to a meal. As it turns out, that's when your digestive system is most active and will move the probiotics through that stomach's harsh environment at the pace required for encapsulation technology to do its job. It's also when you have food and liquids going into the stomach that raises the pH of the stomach, and often meals consist of some fiber, which is the probiotic bacteria live on. They live on that fiber, thereby giving your microbes the best chance to be supported and replenished every day. If you were to take them, for instance, before bed, your supplement is actually more likely to sit idle in the stomach acid for too long because metabolism and digestion slows down when we sleep. So now while I've made these recommendations, the best routine is actually the one that you will stick to, whatever that one is. Do that, okay? You get to customize your routine. If there are some things that you are doing every day right now, stack this with it, okay? Have it stack with what you're doing every day. What works best for you? The most important thing to remember is to take them every day. How often should we take them? Every day. I like that. We should do that every day. It's a good plan. So what about our kids? Both the PB Restore and PB Assist Plus can be taken by teenagers, and children as young as 4 years old can take a full dose of our PB Assist Plus daily. If you have toddlers, you can start with a half a sachet of the PB Assist Plus, and build up to a regular dose over a couple of weeks, attending to their bowel movements and adjusting as needed. Remember that PB Assist Plus is formulated to support the gut microbiome, and PB Restore is formulated with your whole body microbiome in mind. Not only gut, but also skin, respiratory tract, oral and reproductive microbiome environments. Super users could combine both products daily, or if you're trying to address certain concerns, taking both products daily might be right for you. I believe, as a physician, in the foundational wellness principles of the doTERRA lifestyle. They are the key to proactive health and wellness care. The foundational products that are non-negotiable every day that I would recommend to anyone are LLV for its nutritional support, MetaPower Advantage for its support in the aging process of cells. I've always said until doTERRA figures out the cure for the common birthday, we need MetaPower Advantage. Everybody does, okay? And plus PB Restore and or PB Assist Plus for their support of the systemic wellness that comes from a thriving microbiome. Recently, I've been studying some very widely respected books, and I've had a word that has stuck out to me, as these things sometimes do. And so, I've been researching that word and pondering on it, thinking a lot of my time on it. And that word is compassion. At first, I thought that meant a feeling for something or someone that was suffering. But as I've studied it, I found the definition to be so much more than an emotion. The true definition of compassion is to recognize the suffering of others and to take action to help. It's not just a feeling, but it's acting upon that feeling. That's true compassion. Now, I really do believe that we are a company full of compassionate people. You are all compassionate. With that in mind, I'm going to ask you for a favor today. Please take a few seconds and think of those that you know that are suffering right now. Think of those that you know that are on the trajectory for suffering if they do not change. You are now armed with information that can help. And as Dr. O said earlier, I hope that you truly feel confident to share it with others. Now, once many years ago, we had some suffering in our house. One of our children was having some significant challenges. Even challenges that I, as a physician, felt very helpless in assisting. And so we were having a very difficult time finding answers. A dear friend of ours came to my wife and had compassion. She knew of the suffering we were having. And she shared some doTERRA products with her that made a significant difference in our lives and the life of my son, and alleviated some of our suffering. We will forever be grateful for that brave friend who took action to help. Please be that light for others and share what you know. So thank you, be well, my friends, and we will see you all soon.